Hi there! Welcome to KRESKA.art, the best beginner-friendly online tool for drawing and painting. In this video, I will show you all the unique and awesome features that make KRESKA.art easy and fun to use. Let's get started. KRESKA is a browser-based application, so it does not require installation. It works in all modern browsers, on any operating system, and on any device, whether mobile, tablet, or desktop. To start using KRESKA, open your browser and type KRESKA.art in the address bar. If you want to start drawing on a blank canvas, simply click Start Painting. This is the default view of the application. We will go through the interface in a moment. From the home page, you can also choose a sample reference image to try out some unique features that are only available when drawing from reference. Later on, you can load your own reference image. As soon as a reference image is loaded, you can adjust it by moving, scaling, and rotating. On touch devices, use finger gestures to make these adjustments. On devices without touch capabilities, such as some desktops, you can use the floating toolkit window to scale, rotate, and pan the image. Click the center or the edges of the toolkit window to drag it around. To scale the image, click and hold the Scale button, then drag your pointer up or down to zoom in or out. Double-click the Scale button to reset the zoom. To rotate, click and hold the Rotate button and move your pointer around the center of the toolkit window, the icon with 6 dots. Do not rotate around the image or screen center. To reset the rotation, double-click the Rotate button. To move the image, click and hold the Pan button and move your pointer in any direction. Double-click the Move button to center the image and reset its position. To reset all transformations at once, double-click the 6 dots button in the center of the toolkit window. You can also use keyboard shortcuts to perform the same actions. Press Z to zoom. Press R to rotate. Press space to pan. While holding one of these keys, double-click the screen to reset the corresponding transformation. Once you are happy with the position of the reference image, click the large button with the brush icon at the top. By default, the reference image preview window will open. We'll cover that in another video, so for now, you can close it. When a reference image is loaded, 4 additional features become available. The Peak button, the reference image opacity slider, the auto color brush option, the Forward button. The reference image is not treated like a regular layer. You can control it using the dedicated buttons or through the Reference Image Options section in the menu, where you can also remove the reference image. Now, let's go over each of the extra features available when a reference image is loaded. The Peak button shows the reference image for as long as you hold it down. The Reference Image Opacity slider adjusts the transparency of the reference image, which is especially useful when tracing or using the auto color feature. Remember to bring the Reference Image Opacity slider to 0 if you don't want the reference image to appear as part of the final image while exporting to a PNG file. The auto color feature automatically picks and applies colors from the reference image as you draw. The Forward button brings your canvas in front of the reference image. Clicking it again sends the reference image back on top. This is most noticeable when the reference image is nearly opaque. What are the other options for creating a new drawing? Once the app is open, click New Drawing from the File Options menu. Here, you can choose to start with a blank canvas by selecting a predefined size or entering your own dimensions using the custom size option. Keep in mind that larger canvases use more memory, so it is a good idea to close other memory-intensive browser tabs when using Kreska. When a blank canvas is created, you can always load a reference image. To do this, click Load Reference Image from the Reference Image Options menu and select an image from your device. Adjust the image as described earlier, then click the brush icon to continue painting. You also have the option to create a new drawing with a reference image selected from the start. For example, if you want your canvas to match the size of the image. Click New Drawing, then choose Reference from File/Camera and pick one of the available options. For example, Resize Canvas to match full photo size will automatically scale the canvas to match the dimensions of the selected image. Be aware that using large images will create large, memory-heavy canvases, so it is recommended to resize your image beforehand or use other reference image loading options. If you want an image to be added as a layer instead of a reference, you have two options. You can import an image into an existing layer, or create a new drawing with the image added as a layer from the start. To do the latter, click New Drawing and choose one of the options under the Layer from File/Camera section. Keep in mind that this method treats the image as a regular layer, not a reference image, so you can paint directly on top of it. Before we dive into the interface details, let's briefly talk about how to save your work. Kreska automatically stores your current drawing in the browser storage. Even if you close the browser, your drawing will remain saved unless you manually clear your browser storage. However, do not use Kreska in two different tabs of the same browser at the same time, as both tabs share the same storage and may overwrite each other's data. If you want to save your work to a file, you can export it as a .kreska or .psd file to preserve layer information. Alternatively, you can export it as a .png file if you want to flatten all layers into a single image. Now let's take a look at the interface so you can get familiar with the layout before you start drawing. Since Kreska is a browser-based app, you can adjust the interface size or switch to full screen for a better view. On Windows, press the Control key along with the plus or minus keys to zoom in or out. To enter or exit full screen mode, press the F11 key. At the top of the screen, you'll see the logo icon. Clicking it will show or hide the top navigation bar. On the left vertical bar, you'll find several important tools. At the top is the brush size slider, which controls the size of the brush. Most brushes can range from 1 pixel up to 200 pixels in diameter. This is shown as 100% on the slider. Below that is the brush maximum opacity slider. This sets the maximum opacity for the brush strokes. Unlike the pressure-based opacity setting, this one limits the brush's transparency regardless of pressure. For example, if the maximum opacity is set to 50%, your brush strokes will always be half transparent, even if pen pressure is off or fully applied. In the center of the bar is the peek button we mentioned earlier. Pressing and holding this button lets you temporarily view the reference image. Just below it is the reference opacity slider, which adjusts how transparent the reference image appears on the canvas. The last two buttons are Undo and Redo. Undo removes the most recent strokes you made. Redo restores them if you've undone something by mistake. The top horizontal bar is divided into 4 sections: the Panels section, brush type selection, active brush toggles, and the additional tools and action section. The panel selection and brush selection buttons are also available on the panel window for quick access. Starting from the left, you will find the menu button, the layers panel, and the color selection panel. Next, you can select a brush for painting, erasing, or blending. Every brush can be used for all three actions. Here's a useful tip. When you tap and hold any of the brush selection icons, paint, erase, or blend, it will change that brush to match your current brush. For example, if you're using the pencil brush for drawing and you want to use the same brush for erasing, simply press and hold the eraser icon. The pencil brush will be automatically selected for erasing. Since we're talking about the brush selection panel, here's another helpful tip. If you click the brush selection icon on the brushes panel twice, it will collapse all the brush categories, making it easier to find and select a specific category. The third section controls the brush settings. These toggles are also available in the brush settings on the brushes panel. The first toggle enables pressure sensitivity for controlling brush size. When this is turned on, and if your digital pen supports pressure sensitivity, pressing harder will create thicker lines. The second toggle adjusts brush opacity based on pressure. The harder you press, the more opaque the stroke becomes. The last toggle enables auto color picking, which is only available when a reference image is loaded. This feature automatically sets the brush color based on the color under the pointer on the reference image as you draw. Quick tip: if you want smoother color transitions when using the auto color feature, turn on blending along with auto color. This makes the brush pick an average color from the area within the brush radius, rather than using the exact pixel color at the pointer position. The last section of the top bar contains various tools. With the Lasso tool, you can select a portion of the active layer to perform one of three actions. Paint within the selected area. This option limits your drawing to the selected region. Clicking the lasso icon again will turn the selection off. Cut and move the selected area. In this mode, you can move or transform the selected part of the layer. Use the toolkit if you're not on a touch-enabled device. Once you're happy with the transformation, click the brush icon to apply the changes and close the tool. Copy and duplicate the selection. This option lets you duplicate the selected fragment. You can also transform it before confirming. Click the brush icon to apply and close the tool. While the Lasso tool is active, clicking the trash can icon will either reset the selection or close the tool if nothing is selected. The Values button removes color from the drawing while you hold it, allowing you to see only the values in your painting. Values refer to the lightness or darkness of tones, which help define depth, form, and contrast. Getting the values right makes your painting stronger overall, by improving structure, focus, and visual impact. The Guides button lets you choose visual guides, enabling features such as symmetry drawing, mandala drawing, perspective guidelines, or grid lines. Let me briefly show you what each option does. Vertical symmetry. Horizontal symmetry. Quadrant symmetry. Mandala 8. Mandala 12. Mandala 16. One-point perspective. Two-point perspective. Three-point perspective. Two-D grid. Isometric grid. The forward button brings your canvas in front of the reference image or in front of the guidelines, depending on which one is active. Currently, you cannot have both the reference image and guidelines enabled at the same time. The mirror button flips your painting vertically. This helps you spot mistakes or imbalances more easily by letting you see your work from a fresh perspective, which can improve proportions, composition, and overall flow. Note that using this action will reset the undo history. The trash can button clears the active layer by deleting its content. If you click it by mistake, just press undo to recover your work. We're wrapping up this video, but there's plenty more to come. In future videos, we'll explore all the main tools in more detail, along with guides, hidden features, tips, and tricks you won't want to miss. So hit subscribe and stay in the loop.